यन्मायावशवर्ति विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुरा यत्सत्त्वादमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा हेर्भ्रमः यत्पादप्लवमेकमेव हि भवाम्बोधे स्थितिर्षावताम् वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरं रामाख्यमीशं हरिम्। श्रीराम जय राम ॐ 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 जय जय राम जय राम सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Hariom. We were seeing the portion where Dashrath Maharaj comes to the Kopa Bhavan where Kaikeyi was there. He comes with a very cheerful mind, but when he sees Kaikeyi, everything starts changing. And Dashrath Maharaj, who was so sharp as a king, he could not understand the gravity of the situation in the beginning. When Kaikeyi was talking to him, he thought it was just, she is angry for some reason. It's echoing a little, right? Okay. How about now? Better? He could not understand what was the gravity of the situation, but eventually he understood. And Kaikeyi comes to ask the two boons after Dashrath Maharaj again and again persuades her and asks her, what is it that is making you so angry? Why are you angry? And then after he promises in the name of Bhagwan Rama, she gives him, or she asks for those two boons. And within one doha, Dashrath Maharaj, who was so fond of Kaikeyi, within one doha, that entire thing flips. This AyodhyaKand, that thing also we should appreciate. It doesn't take much time for emotions to switch. From celebrations in Ayodhya to Kopa Bhavan, it took only one doha. Dashrath Maharaj entering Kopa Bhavan, and then things to again switch, it took just one doha. Now, what is the message here for a Vedanta sadhaka? This entire prasanga of Kaikeyi and Dashrath Maharaj, what is the message for Vedanta sadhaka? We know about one word, we know it more even without using the technical word, but if we use it, then it's easier for us to appreciate. That word is called paristhiti. Paristhiti means what? Paritaha sthitihi. The condition which is there around me. Situation which is there surrounding me, that is called as paristhiti. If that paristhiti is anukula, anukula means according to how I want, the label I give to that paristhiti is called as sukham. Sukhad paristhiti means what? Everything is according to how I want. If it is pratikula, paristhiti, if it is pratikula, what is it called? Dukkham. Anukulam vedaniyam sukham, pratikulam vedaniyam dukkham. Now the important thing to note here is, Many a times, sadhakas put forth a lot of effort to maintain only one type of paristhiti, which is that one. If we have a choice to pick between anukula and pratikula, we will always choose anukula only. That is what we think. We will choose anukula. But the nature of life is such that it is a mixed bag of anukula and pratikula. We will never have a situation, or we will never have, a journey where it is only anukula paristhiti. Nor will we have a journey where it is only pratikula paristhiti. It will be a mix of anukula and pratikula. But the important thing is, what is my perspective towards that? If I am prepared about this fact that life is like that, I should be ready for pratikula paristhiti also. That acceptance brings a lot of strength. And this prasanga shows us that. Even for somebody like Dashrath Maharaj, paristhiti was not anukula all the time. Paristhiti came in pairs of opposites. Anukula we saw, right? Until this point was anukula only. But no paristhiti can remain the same forever. Having analyzed this, a seeker becomes a mumukshu. Having analyzed this point, he says, Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmana. I have analyzed the nature of this world and I have found impermanence as its root. No paristhiti will remain the same, and I won't invest all my time in only adjusting paristhiti. Why doesn't it remain the same? Why doesn't paristhiti remain the same? Because it is a result of karma. And same mantra. Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmana. Because it is a result of karma, it will not remain the same forever, because karma phala is anitya. Shubha paristhiti also is anitya. Anukula is anitya, and pratikula also is anitya only. Then the sadhaka says, I have to find some support which is devoid of this pair of opposites. That is when he really becomes a student of Vedanta. This example is oft quoted for that mantra. Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmana nirveda mayat nastya krutah krutena. He gets a lot of vairagya from this fact that no paristhiti I can invest upon as support in my life. Even physical body for that matter. Anukula paristhiti is very helpful. But we all know it is not going to stay forever. Why? Because it is karma phala. This thinking makes us more stronger. It prepares us for pratikula paristhitis. When we go in a flight, they make some announcements in between, right? In another 5 minutes, we are going to hit turbulent weather. Please fasten your seat belts, eat quickly whatever you're eating, and then get ready for that. Now that announcement does not avoid that weather. Announcement does not avoid turbulence. But if I have accepted that turbulence, I won't be affected as much. I'll be more better prepared. I will know what to do in that turbulence. So this karma siddhanta is like that. It is not to paint a pessimistic picture of life. It is only to say that we should become mumukshus. And second is, appreciate how these paristhithis keep changing. So if it changes, the sadhaka says nothing new about it. Right? This is what I expected. This is what I had analyzed on the strength of Shastra, on the strength of my own analysis. So that is this, one layer of, takeaway message from this prasanga. At the same time, it is also not that sadhaka seeks pratikula paristhiti. That also is not said. He is not seeking although we say in Kunti Stuti, Kunti ji asked Bhagavan that Bhagavan, little bit of vipatti should keep coming. But it was not, she is not asking for vipatti there. She is asking for remembrance of the Lord at all times. So if sadhaka prays for anukula paristhiti, it is not as goal of life. Anukula paristhiti means conducive situations, means everything should be calm, body should be healthy. This is what we pray. He is not praying that as a goal of life. He is praying for that as a means for the absolute goal of life. He says, Bhagavan, I know the nature of world is like this, but if everything is calm and quiet, I can put my mind in Shastra. I can do my sadhana, I can fulfill my duties. And through that, I want to come and abide in my own true self, which is paristhiti nirapeksha. Shuddha Chaitanya or Atma, or even moksha in Advaita Vedanta, is paristhiti nirapeksha. What does that mean? Independent of paristhiti. Whether paristhiti is conducive or paristhiti is not conducive, it has nothing to do with Brahmajnanam. It has nothing to do with self-knowledge, our abidance in truth. Okay. And another point we had seen was Dashrath Maharaj's devotion. He loved Kaikeyi, but when she came in between his devotion to Bhagwan Rama, he said, whatever comes in between, that is tyajya. Tyajya means what? Worth to be given up. So how should a sadhaka understand that? Any other vishaya that takes me away from Bhagwan, that thing should be given up. Taponji Maharaj has a beautiful quote that he writes in one book. He says, whatever takes your mind to the Lord is worth of praise. Whatever takes our mind to the Lord is worthy of praise. And he writes opposite also. Whatever takes our mind away from the Lord should be criticized. So in terms of all other things, we should note this. Because this description is not only of Kaikeyi. This is journey of a sadhaka, journey of a bhakta. Okay. So after this boon has been asked, 29th doha, let us see what Kaikeyi is saying more now. Ihi bidhirau manahi manajhaka, dekhi kubhati kumati manamaka. Bharutu ki raura putana hoi, anehu mol besahi ki mohi, jo suni sarva salaga tumhare, kahe na bolahu bachanu sabhare. देहु उतरु अनुकरहु कि नाही, सत्य संध तुम रघुकुल माही, देन कहेउ अब जनि बरु देहु, तजहु सत्य जग अपजसु लेहु, सत्य सराहि कहेउ बरु देना, जानेहु लेहि मागी चबेना, सिबिद दीचि बलि जो कछु भाषा, तनु धनु तजेउ बचन पनुराग, अति कटु बचन कहति कैकेयी, मानहु दोन जरे पर देई, धर्म धुरंधर धीर धरी, नयन उघारे राय, सिरु धुनि लीनी उसासयसी, मारे सि मोहि कुहाय, आगे दीख जरत रिस भारी, मनहु रोष तरवारी भारी, मुठि कुबुद्धि धार निठुराई, धरी कुबरी सान बनाई, लखी मही पकराल कठोरा, सत्य की जीवन लेहि मोरा, बोले राउ कठिन करि छाती, वाणी विनयता सुसोहाती, प्रिया बचन कस कहसि कुभाती, धीर प्रतीति प्रीति करिहाती, मोरे भरतु राम दुहि आखी, सत्य कहूँ करि संकरु साखी, अवसि दूत मैं पठइब प्राता, नेहि बेगि सुनत दो भ्रात। सुदिन सोधि सबु साज सजाई, देहु भरत कहूँ राजु बजाई। लोभन राम ही राजु कर, बहुत भरत पर प्रीति, मैं बड़ छोट विचारि जिय, करत रहे नृपनीति। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः, क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः, सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः. When anger comes, it dilutes our thinking, it clouds our thinking, and what this person is saying, he has no clue. I think it's a book fallen there or something. He has no clue what he is saying. Now Kaikeyi is giving a live demonstration of that. She is telling Dashrath Maharaj, who is now almost, falling down. She is telling Dashrath Maharaj, "Ehi vidhi rao manahi mana jhaka, dekhi kubhati kumati mana makha." She is getting more angry looking at Dashrath Maharaj now. He said so many things. Now she is getting even more angry. He says, "Bharatu ki raura putana hui." You are telling me that you don't want to make, or you don't want to give me these two boons. It is possible only because of two reasons. One is either Bharata is not your son. She is asking him, is Bharata not your son? And second one is even more stronger. Anihu mola besahi ki mohi. Am I not your wife? Have you purchased me? Means, have you given some mola to bring? That is why you don't want to make Bharata as the king. जो सुनि सरो अस लाग तुम्हारे, काहे न बोले हो बचन सभारे. If you felt so hurt by my two boons, he said, you should have thought earlier. When you gave these two boons, you should have thought earlier. Why are you telling me now that these two boons should not have been asked? देहु उतरु अनु करहु कि नाही, सत्य संग तुम रघुकुल माही. Tell me clearly whether you are going to give this boon or not. Either you give me this or you take some kind of apayasha, some bad name coming to your Raghukula. You have only two options. Your fame is at stake. All that thing you had said, Raghukula riti sadachali ai, prana jahu par bachanu na jahi. He says all of that is just, to say you are not actually going to follow anything. देन कहेऊ अब जनि बरु देहु, तजहु सत्य जग अपजसुले. You can trade satya for apayasha. Means if you decide to go back on your words, you take apayasha, and if that is what you want, you do it if you want it. You should have been careful before telling me to ask this boon. Satya sarahi kaheu baru dena, Janehu lehi magi chabena. You told me to ask boons. You thought I would ask for peanuts. Chabena means, chana. You thought I would ask something simple like that. Whatever I have asked, that thing you should give me now. And then she gives examples also. She must have learnt nyaya, Whenever you make a sentence, you have to give hetu also and drishtanta. So she is telling, look at your other kings. Whatever word they have given, they have followed it. And look at you, you give a word and you don't even follow your words. Who are those kings? He starts with Raja Shibi. All of you know the story of Shibi Raja. He was a great king known for his vachana, generosity, and to keep his words. One day Indra wants to test him of how righteous is this king. So Indra becomes a hawk and Agni Devata becomes a sparrow. Both of them, they are going, and this hawk is chasing that sparrow. The sparrow comes and sits on Shibi Raja's lap, and it says, I am a Brahmana in this Vesha, and I have come at your shelter. Please make sure that I am protected and this hawk does not eat me. This hawk comes and starts talking to Shibi Raja, says, this is my food. As a king, it is your duty to make sure that everybody in your kingdom is fed. Not only people, even animals. So now king is caught between Dharma Sankat. So Shibi Raja says, you want your food, right? I will give my flesh as your food. So he brings a tarazu, weighing scale. On one side, he puts the pigeon. On another side, he starts putting the same, flesh from his body. But no matter how much he puts, that pigeon's weight is more than his flesh weight. And like this, he ends up almost, giving up his entire body. And he finally surrenders himself only. And this is when Indra Devata is very pleased and he gives a lot of blessings to Raja Shibi. He says, your name will be immortal and every part of your body will be divine. So that boon he gives at that point. This Raja Shibi, you see how he gave his word and stood by it. You give me these two boons and you are going back on your words. Then came Dadichi. Dadichi Maharshi's story comes in Bhagavatam. Vritrasura was there. And Vishnu Bhagwan says, if you have to fight Vritrasura, you need to make a thunderbolt from the bones of Dadichi Rishi. And Devatas go and ask also. Not, can you give me your Kamandalu? Can you give me your Kamadhenu? They say, can you give me your bones? Dadichi Rishi agrees also. He says, if it's for a greater cause, that is what, a yogi's body is for. He says, you take, I'll sit in yoga samadhi and you can take my bones. You look at Dadichi Rishi. And last is Bali Maharaj. Everything he gave to Bhagavan, and you are hesitating to give me these two simple boons. Tanu dhanu tajeu bachana punarakha. Giving up their physical body, they protected their words. Now she is putting salt on Dashrath Maharaj's wound. Atikatu bachana sahati kaikeyi manaho lona jare paradei. Even a small cut on our hand, when you eat food, that salt, it touches and you can feel the cut over there. Like that, Dashrath Maharaj is feeling with Kaikeyi's words. She's again and again, trying to push him. Dharma dhurandhara dhira dhari nayana ughare rai. By this time, Dashrath Maharaj had already fallen down. But with lot of strength, he opens his eyes, hoping that something he can say to change Kaikeyi's mind. Some last efforts he is wanting to put. But he says, holding his hands, holding his head with his hands, that she has really come like an axe in my life. And she has struck me very hard. Because by this time he realizes she is not joking. Initially he thought, she was just angry and, she'll just ask and go back on her boon. But now he knows that it is coming for real. He says, Kaikeyi is a sword of anger. Aage dhike jaratarisa bhari, manahu rosha taravari ughari. Kaikeyi is standing there. She's like sword of anger. And the grip, which is there, muti kubuddhi. Whatever erroneous idea she has, that is the grip of that sword. The sharpness is her heartlessness. The sharpness of the sword is niturai. Niturta means heartlessness of Kaikeyi. Dhari kubari sana banai. And on what has that sword been sharpened? On the words of Manthara. Manthara is the grinding stone for that sword to be sharpened. Seeing that sword, Dashrath Maharaj is, thinking, this sword is going to take my life away now. Satya ki jivanu leihi mora. Satya ki jivanu leihi mora. Bole Rao Kathina Karachati, Bani Sabinaya, Tasu Sohati. Now, in his last attempt, he is speaking in soft words to Kaikeyi, hoping that something he can say by which he can change her mind. He says, Priya Bachana Kasa Kahi Kubhati, Bhira Pratiti Priti Karihati. Just why are you speaking such words, cutting all the trust and the love that we had? Why don't you just calm down? Think about it. Those two boons that you asked, is it even valid? In particular, the second boon. He says, Bhagwan Rama and Bharatji, they are like my two eyes. Meaning what? I don't see one as more important than the other. Right? Two eyes, we don't have partiality. We don't say right eye is, more favorite than the left eye. Nothing like that. Both are equally, dear to me. And with them only I can see this world. Bharatji and Ramji, both are dear to me. And your first boon, it is no problem. He says, Sudina Sodhi Saba Saju Sajai, Devu Bharata Kahu Raju Bajai. With lot of celebration, and just like we did the wedding, he says, I will do the Rajyabhishek of Bharatji. I have no problem in making him the king. Why? Because he knows Bhagwan Rama doesn't want kingdom. Lobhuna Rama hi Raju Kara, Bahuta Bharata Para Preeti. Bhagwan Rama doesn't want the kingdom, and he has lot of love for Bharatji. We saw that earlier, right? When Bhagwan heard this news for the first time, that he is going to become the king, Bhagwan has paschatapa in his mind. He says, all four brothers, we were born together, we played together, we ate together. But when it comes to being the king, our Raghukula has one shortcoming, he says. Why is the eldest brother only given the kingdom? It belongs to all of us. And what did Goswamiji say? Harahu bhagata ke mana kutilai. If we meditate upon this thought of Bhagwan, it will cleanse our mind from all impurities. Such is Bhagwan Rama. He says he is not interested in this kingdom. And his love for Bharatji is such that if I make him the king, he will support him in all ways. This Dashrath Maharaj is saying even without asking Bhagwan Rama. मैं बड़े छोटा बिचारी जिया करत रहूं नृपनीति. But it was I who did this thinking. I thought that Bhagwan Rama is the eldest. That is why he should become the king. He had nothing to say or anything to do with whatever decisions I have taken. Then he says, even Kausalya ji is innocent. Because you are thinking that Kausalya ji is also involved in this. She has not told me anything. Rama sapata sata kahu subhavu, Rama matu kachu kahu na kahu. Rama matu means Kausalya ji. She has not said anything. Don't unnecessarily have other thoughts about Kausalya ji. She is very innocent. Only mistake that I did was, I did not ask you. That is this line. Main sabu keen to hi binu pooche. Binu pooche means without asking, I did this whole thing. Tehi te pareu manoratha chunche. Because of that alone, this manoratha, this desire that I had, everything is falling apart. He's saying just to verify if Bhagwan Rama really wants the kingdom, because that is your, what you are asking. So first boon is not a problem. Bharatji can become the king. But only thing is the second boon. That is what is troubling me the most. He says, drop this anger, Bharatji will become the king very shortly. Trust my words. But the second boon that you asked, that is what I'm finding most difficult to digest. Ek hi baat mohi dukh laga, bar dusara asamanjasa maga. That second boon that you asked is very, very inappropriate. What was that? Bhagwan Rama in Tapas Vesha. And then going to forest for 14 years. Now Dashrath Maharaj is saying, what made you even think about such a thing? What made you think that by which you came to this conclusion that Bhagwan Rama should go to forest. Ajahu Hrudaya Jarat Tehi Acha Risa Parihasa Ki Sache Sacha. He's saying that I'm not able to decide whether you are still, having some kind of, are you just in a humorous way, are you trying to say this, or do you really mean it? That Bhagwan should go to the forest for 14 years. Why? He says, Kahu taji roshu Rama aparadhu. Just give up your anger for some time. Just give up your krodha for some time. And tell me one reason, or tell me one thing that Bhagwan has done wrong. One aparadha of Bhagwan Rama, you point out, for which you are telling that he should go to the forest. Everybody here in Ayodhya or wherever you see, everybody says Bhagwan is a sadhu. Bhagwan is sadhu means even his enemies who are there, they love Bhagwan. Everybody says Bhagwan Rama, he cannot do anything wrong. He is a sadhu. Later when Bhagwan fights Khara and Dushana, it is said Khara Dushana standing in front of Bhagwan, they wonder, this is the Bhagwan we have to fight with? He is so gentle, so calm, so composed, and so compassionate. I wonder who has brought this Bhagwan into a battlefield. Khara Dushana, their mind gets purified looking at Bhagwan. That is the Chaupai. Dashrath Maharaj is saying, Jasu Subhavo Arihi Anukula. Bhagwan's Swabhava is such that even enemies love him. How can you even think that he will do something to harm his mother? Kaikeyi had that doubt, right? If Bhagwan Rama becomes the king, then my position as Rajmata is, in danger. He says, for that you are wanting him to go to forest for 14 years. His Swabhava is such, even enemies praise him. Don't fall, for this trap of your mind. Dashrath Maharaj is telling Kaikeyi. And he tells her, even you loved him so much. Previously, you only said that amongst all the mothers, he loves Kaikeyi the most. Now, Dashrath Maharaj says, I doubt whether you really loved Bhagwan or not. Tuhu sarahi se karasi sanehu abasuni mohi bhayav sandehu. I doubted whether whatever you said earlier, that was true or not. Now he says, just drop this anger. For some time you drop this anger because I want to see Bharatji's coronation. Meaning what? If you go with your second boon, I will not be able to see Bharatji's coronation. Forget about Bhagwan Rama's coronation. Rama's coronation I definitely wanted to see, but at least let me see Bharatji's coronation now. So please drop this anger and change your second boon. Now he gives some examples of how, he cannot live without Bhagwan Rama. Jiye meena baru bari bihina mani binu paniku jiye dukadina. It is possible, he says, that a fish can live without water. If you take a fish out of the water, it is possible that it can live for some time, although it will, how do you say? In Hindi, they say tadpadana. Means it will flutter for some time, but still it can survive. Snake can survive without the money. It can survive. It will be restless, but still it can survive. But he says, I cannot survive without Bhagwan Rama. If he is sent to the forest, he is saying, I cannot survive. At least this should make you change your mind. Kaikeyi is his wife, after all. He says, I will not survive. At least now you should change your mind. And whatever concerns you have, all of that we will address. Because the only thing she wanted was, she should become Rajmata. Because all other Sambandhas would have remained the same. Dashrath Maharaj would still be the king. Bhagwan Rama will still be brother. If Bharatji becomes the king, she would have become the main, Rajmata. So that he says you will take care of, but just make sure that you change your second boon. Kahau subhau na chalu mana mahi, jivanu more Rama binu nahi. I have no life, I cannot live without Bhagwan Rama. Now, listening to all this, Kaikeyi is getting even more angry. Listening to the soft words of Dashrath Maharaj, Kaikeyi is getting even more angry. And just now, Dashrath Maharaj, he says a very beautiful line there. Samuji deku jiye priya prabina, jivanu Rama darasa adhina. He says, what is the adhara? What is the support for my life? He says, Bhagwan Rama's darshan. As long as he is there in front of me, my pranas function. The moment he is taken away, these pranas will not function anymore. Now, in spite of this, cry of the heart of Dashrath Maharaj, Kaikeyi feels he is still doing some kind of maya. Okay, look at what she says. Kahaye karahu kina koti upaya, ihana lagahi rauri maya. He says, you do whatever you want. Here your maya will not work. Means whatever you are telling me over here, that you are not going to live without Bhagwan Rama, this and that, nothing will work. Either you give me my boon or you take a bad name. Only these two things. I am not going to go back on my words. Ramu sadhu, Kaikeyi is telling Dashrath Maharaj. Bhagwan Rama is sadhu. And you are sadhu sayane. You are also a very nice person. And what about Kausalya ji? Ram matu bhali sab pahichane. Kausalya ji is also very sadhu. All of that I have recognized. Kaikeyi is telling her, I have recognized all of that. You all are together in this. Bhagwan Rama, Dashrath Maharaj, and Kausalya ji. Jasa kausila mora bhalataka, tasa palu unahi, devu kari saka. Whatever Kausalya ji wanted to give me as karma phala, I will also give them the same thing by which she will remember. Some kind of revengeful thing I will do so that she will remember everything. Goswami also, how he depicts it, the emotions which are there in Kaikeyi's mind, very nicely he brings. And now Kaikeyi is saying, if you don't agree to my words, if you don't give me the two boons by tomorrow morning, two things will happen. One is, Mora maranu, raura ajasal. Means I will give up this physical body and you will get bad name. So make sure that by tomorrow, everything is done. Nrupa samujhayi manamahi. Now Goswami ji is giving a beautiful description of what Kaikeyi in this anger stood up. Okay. Now how will we describe? We'll say, okay, Kaikeyi was sitting down, she stood up in anger. But you see how Goswami ji describes it. This chaupai will chant after 33. असकहि कुटिल भई उठे ठाड़ी, मानहु रोष तरंगिनी बाढ़ी, पाप पहार प्रगट भई सोई, भरी क्रोध जल जाय न जोई, दोबर कूल कठिन हट धारा, भवर कुबरी बचन प्रचारा, धाहत भूप रूप तरु मूला, चली विपति बारिधि अनुकूला, लखी नरेश बात भूरि साची, तियमिस मीचु शीस परिनाची, गहि पद विनय कीन्ह बैठारी, जनि दिन कर कुल होसि कुठारी, मागु माथ अबहि देउ तोहि, राम बिरह जनि मारसि मोहि, राखु राम कहु जेहि तेहि भांति, नाहित जरिहि जनम भरि छाति, देखि व्याधि साधन रूपो, परे उधरनि धुनि माथ, कहत परम आरत बचन, राम राम रघुनाथ, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Kaikeyi stood in anger. Now Goswamiji is describing how she looked. अस कहीं कुटिल भई उठी ठाड़ी, मान हो रोष तरंगिनी बाढ़ी. Having said this, Kaikeyi stood up in anger. It looked as though a river of anger is flowing. A river of anger is flowing. Where has this river originated from? He says this river has originated from a mountain. What is that mountain? This mountain of Papa. Papa pahar pragat bhai soi. Pahara means pahad, mountain. From the mountain of Papa, the river of Krodha has started flowing down. Bhari Krodha jala jai na joi. That river is filled with this water of anger. Do bara kula kathina hata dhara. The banks of these rivers are the two boons that Kaikeyi asked. Bharatji should become the king and Bhagwan Rama should go to forest. These are the two banks of that river of anger. In that there are whirlpools. Bhavara kubari bachana prachara. The words of Manthara. They are the whirlpools in this river of anger. And there are trees on the banks. He says Dashrath Maharaj is one of those trees whom this river of anger has as though carried away, or it has burnt it down. That is Dashrath Maharaj, who is one of the trees on that bank. Dhahata bhupa rupa tarumula chali bipati baridhi anukula. But where is that river headed? It is headed in the ocean of calamity. Vipatti means that it is headed in the ocean of calamity. Now this depiction we should compare with 39th or 40th Doha of Balkanda. I don't have to do it now. I will share what is there. Goswamiji said, there is another river. He said that is a river of devotion, which is coming from the lake of Manasarovar. The river of Krodha, the origin is Papa. The river of devotion, origin is Manasarovar lake, means Ramcharitmanas. And in that river, there are two tributaries which are joining. One is Jnana, another is Karma. Jnana, Bhakti, Karma, all three join together and then meet Rama Swarupa, which is the ocean. What is the ocean over here? Calamity. The river of anger goes into calamity. The river of devotion goes into Bhagwan Swarupa. And then he said, in this Ramcharitmanas, there are different stories which come. Those are like the trees on the banks of those rivers. Same analogy he has taken, but he's showing a contrast. Means it is a choice that we have in which river we want to flow. A river of devotion is also available. A river of Krodha is also available. Now there are several Mahatmas who take just this prasanga and speak for 7 days. Only this prasanga. Papa pahara pragata bhai soi. On that they will speak for 1 day. Meaning what? If Krodha is there, one meaning is it has originated from Papa. Means some Papa which is done behind, that is leading to this Manas Santapa. Krodha can never go with calmness of mind. Krodha, the following vritti is agitation. But another way to look at it is, Krodha will lead this person to Papa. Its moola is Papa, its destination is also Papa. Papa means what? Some kind of action which that person will regret later. So those two contrasts it's very nice to reflect. Okay. But here we don't have to do that. If you want to reflect on your own, then go back to the 40th Doha, 39, 40th, in between that chaupai which comes, and then see this portion of river of Krodha. Lakhi naresa bata puri sachi, tiyam isa michu sisu paranachi. Now he has gotten full conviction, Dashrath Maharaj, that whatever she is saying, that is for real. That she is not going to change, and she is not just casually saying things. He says, in the form of Kaikeyi, Mrityu is dancing on my head. Tiyam isa michu sisa paranachi. Mrityu is dancing on my head in the form of Kaikeyi. Now look at, the last attempt that Dashrath Maharaj is doing. He holds her feet. Dashrath Maharaj goes and holds Kaikeyi's feet and makes her sit down and tries to convince her, don't be an axe on this Raghukula. Gahi pada binaya. Pada binaya means holding her feet. Keenha baithari, makes her sit down. This is second chaupai, about 34. Keenha baithari. Jani dinakara kula hosi kuthari. Dinakara kula means Raghukula. He says, don't be an axe on this Raghukula. Please think twice what you are asking. That he is trying to say. He says, if you want, you ask my head. That I am ready to give. But don't ask Bhagwan Rama. Means he says, I am not afraid of dying. Giving head means what? He says, I am not afraid of dying. But the reason for giving up this body should not be viraha from Bhagwan. I am a king and I am a brave king. Because later on she will point that also. He says, kings like you are not afraid of death. And you are saying that if Bhagwan Rama goes and this will happen, that will happen, and so on. He says, no. Viraha from Bhagwan, that is not what I want. Okay. By whatever means you can, keep Bhagwan in Ayodhya, everything will be fine. But having seen Kaikeyi, he knows that this is an incurable disease. Nothing can be done, and saying that, Dashrath Maharaj falls down. Dekhi vyadhi asada anupar. Asada vyadhi means disease. Asada means that which cannot be cured. So Kaikeyi, whatever has gone in her mind, it cannot be changed now. Imagine mantra's power, Few lines she said with so much of conviction that it has made that deep impression on her. Now Dashrath Maharaj is, frail, anxious, weak. His entire throat has dried up, unable to say anything. He is just sitting there. But still Kaikeyi is going on saying harsh words. Puni kaha katu kathora Kaikeyi manahu ghaya maha mahuradeyi. Previously she was adding salt to the wound. Now Goswami says she is adding poison to the wound. Manahu ghaya manu mahuradeyi. Means she is adding some kind of poison. She is telling Dashrath Maharaj, if this was the end that you wanted, then why did you keep saying, ask, whatever you want to ask, Raghukula and everything? Why did you keep on saying that? Now she gives an example. That you cannot have contradictory things together. Dui ki hoi eka samaya bhuala hasaba tathai phulao bagala. Can you have somebody having a hearty laughter with your mouth wide open and a serious face at the same time? We look example also, she is, giving very precise ones. Saying, can you have your mouth open loud and you're laughing? At the same time, have a straight face. You say, just like that, Dani kahauba arukrupanai. You are also showing contradictory things in your words. What is the contradiction? On one hand, you say, you are a great Dani. But at the same time, you are very miserly. You say, ask. And next line you say, that think twice before asking. So contradictory things are there in your words. You are like that example, mouth open also, at the same time closed also. Just like that is not possible, even this should not be possible. And she says, is it possible that somebody goes to a war and brave king is there and he comes back home unscratched? Kings in those days, they themselves used to fight a war. So she's saying somebody goes to a war and comes back unscratched. That is not possible. So just like that, this contradiction also should not be there. If you have told me to ask, just go by whatever I have asked. Or she gives him an option. Chadahu bachanu ki dhiraju dharam. Either you give up your words or you become strong. Kaikeyi is telling Dashrath Maharaj. Either you give up your words or become strong. Don't cry like a helpless person. Okay. Kaikeyi is telling Dashrath Maharaj, don't cry like a helpless person. Now she tells 6 things which are generally, very, very important. They are our sadhya. One is in ajnana avastha, not for sadhaka. It says tanu. Tanu means physical body. We seek pleasures for that. We take care of it and so many other things. All other relations which are there. All of that is something which is very important to a person. Home is there. Dhamu dhanu dharani. Wealth is there. Whatever other resources are there. All of those things are important. What she says, for somebody who is satyasanga, somebody who is righteous, they are ready to give up all these things like a blade of grass. Wealth, physical body, all other things that they have, they are able to give it up just like that. And you are such a great king and you are so worried about Bhagwan Rama going to forest. Kaikeyi is telling Dashrath Maharaj. Now Dashrath Maharaj says something which shows his depth. Look at that 35th doha. He says, Marama bachana suni rao kaha, kahu kachu doshana tore. He says, O Kaikeyi, in all these things that you are saying, there is actually no fault of yours. He remembers the past. He remembers the arrow that he had shot at Shravan Kumara and the curse that his his parents had given to Dashrath Maharaj. He says that karma only is coming as kala. And it has become a pishacha. It has become like a ghost and it is making you as nimitta. Nimitta means you are only a medium. All these things, my own karmas are bringing to me now. So there is no real fault of yours. At the same time, he has not accepted her back. But in his mind, he knows that this is my own karmas, it is coming back. I have to go through it. Chahatana bharata bhupatihi bhore. Now he is, giving some kind of forecast. What is going to happen in Ayodhya? He says, Bharatji does not want to be the king. Chahatana bharata bhupatihi bhore. Bidi basa kumati basi jiyatore. Because of this time, because of this karma, some kind of kumati has entered your mind. And it is just not coming out. It has gotten stuck as though in your mind. So sabu mora papa parinam. All of that is a result of my own papa karma. There is nothing to be blamed. Bhayam kutahara jehi vidhi bam. It is as though Bhagwan has become viparita. He has become against me right now. Now he says, whatever you have done to Ayodhya, it will come true, but don't think the whole story will end with that. Ayodhya will rise again. A very beautiful chaupai this is. Subasa basihi phira avadhe suhai. Again, Ayodhya will see happy days. Everything will come back. Sabaguna dhama Rama prabhutai. Because Bhagwan's Rama's prabhutai, his power is such that he will bring everything back to Ayodhya. You try to split Bharatji and Bhagwan Rama. Even they will come together. All of them will serve each other together. करी हहीं भाई सकल सेवकाई, हुई ही तिहु पुर राम बढ़ाई. All brothers will serve each other and everybody will sing Bhagwan Rama's glories. And earlier we saw Dashrath Maharaj's words, it's Satyavachan. His Satyanishtha was such that whatever he said would come true. We saw that, right? Desire is there and person going towards desire. But in Dashrath Maharaj's case, he just has to say it, desire comes to him. That was his power. All of these things come true. Now look at the second line. He says, Tora kalanku mora pachitao. Muehu na mitehi na jai hi kaun. But your kalanka means whatever you did for Ayodhya, that will never get forgotten. And that also comes true. And Bharatji does not call her mother all through in Ramayana. Bhagwan forgives Kaikeyi, but not Bharatji. And whenever we think of Kaikeyi also, we say Kausalya ji, Sumitra ji, never Kaikeyi ji. Right? That ji never comes. Because of this one, because Dashrath Maharaj, his words are like that. But at the same time, he says, Mora Pachitao. The kind of Paschatapa I had to go through, he says that also will never be forgotten. अब तो ही नीक लाग कर सोई, लोचन ओट बैठ मुह कोई. Now he says, you do whatever you want, but just don't talk to me. After this, there is no samvada going to happen between both of us. You do whatever you want. जब लगी जियो कहूं कर जोरी, तब लगी जाने कछु कहसी बहोरी. Kahasi bahori means don't speak to me. I have tried my best. Now I'm not going to try to convince anything. And he says, this cow, it has some kind of fiber, it is said, in its stomach. For that simple fiber, the gut fiber which is there, you ended up killing the cow. Like that you have done for this Ayodhya. One small thing you had about being Rajamata. For that you ended up sending Bhagwan Rama 14 years and Bharatji, you said, has to be the king. That is this last line. Marasi gai naharu lagi. Just above 36th doha. Marasi gai naharu. Now, having tried everything in convincing, Dashrath Maharaj falls down. But even after that, Kaikeyi is not, changing. Goswamiji, I don't know from where he brings examples. Now, how is Kaikeyi standing there after, Dashrath Maharaj has fallen down? He's not saying anything. Kapata sayanina kahati kachu jagati manahu masan. He says, as though there is a cremation ground. And then there is somebody who is chanting some spells, to do some kind of preta and things like that. How they would stand without, saying anything in a very serious tone with all vesha and everything. Like that, Kaikeyi was standing next to Dashrath Maharaj. Okay. Now, this one we'll see in the next session. But the main thing we should remember in this entire prasanga, I feel in Ramayana, wherever Bhagwan's katha is not there, that prasanga we should go quickly. Because the main tatparya is in Bhagwan Rama. But whatever we discussed in the beginning of this session, that paristhiti is based on karma. And karma gives impermanent results. So paristhiti is also impermanent. Analyzing this, a person becomes true mumukshu. He starts seeking for something in life where he says, that thing which is independent of paristhiti, that is what I want. That understanding, that abidance in this truth, which is independent of paristhiti. He says even Swarga, that Paristhiti is also what? Impermanent only. Tomorrow's Vedanta Sara class, you will see this. 14 words description will come. Whatever is there here, same thing is there also. Yadeva iha tadamutra. Whatever challenges, stress, strain, disappointments of Bhuloka is there in all 14 words. Having analyzed that, one becomes a mumukshu, seeker of Vedanta. Okay, more we will see in the next session. There are some announcements, so please do stay back. Aganita Gunagana Bhushana Rama, Ashrita Vatsala Jaya Jaya Rama, Ayodhyavasi Sita Rama, Apad Bandhava Jaya Jaya Rama, Dasharatha Nandana Shri Rama, Dashamukha Mardana Jaya Jaya Rama, Kausalya Sukhavardhana Rama, Kamita Phalada Jaya Jaya Rama, Papa Vimochana Shri Rama, Pattabhi Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Janaki Vallabha Sita Rama, Jaya Raghu Rama, Jaya Sita Rama, Vanara Sevita Shri Rama, Varidhi Bandhana Jaya Jaya Rama, Hanumat Pujita Sita Rama, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Rama, Raghupati Raghava Raja Rama, Patita Pavana Sita Rama, Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Rama, Syavar Ramachandra ki Jai, Satgurunath Maharaj ki